Welcome back to Earth and Star Spiritual Wellness Center. I did a Google search of the most searched for word on YouTube, and at that time it came up to be 528 hertz. And I thought, how beautiful that 528 hertz is the most searched for word at the time that I did this search, because what's coming up collectively is all about self-actualization, taking on your full power, embodying everything that you are. Self-actualization, if you look at that hierarchy, that triangle, it's at the very, very top, because self-actualization is really only possible when you have a stable, steady foundation. And that foundation, as humans, has to do with having our physical needs met. When we are safe, when we have shelter, when we have food, then we are capable of moving on to our emotional needs. And when we have social needs met and emotional needs met, then we can move up the triangle and up the triangle until at the very, very tip top, we have self-actualization, our full embodiment of power. What a privilege it is to get to heal. That had me thinking, I'm so privileged to be a healer. I'm so privileged to be able to help people through things that I've already been through, because that means that my needs are met. And so that brings me to this point of the victim. The victim is at the bottom of this triangle. The victim still doesn't feel like they have their physical or emotional needs met. The victim is the one still in their trauma. So how do we get from still being in our trauma to being fully empowered and fully realized and being in a space where we get to say, this is who I am and I love who I am and everything I do is going to be wonderful because it's an expression of who I am. So I want to talk a little bit about the victim, okay? I've gotten some flack, guys. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I've gotten some flack because healers like to use the word victim mode. And I understand this from a slightly different point of view because I've been the victim. Being the victim is not a one-time, one-place road. Being the victim is actually the second level of the road that we're all on. I have a sheet of paper and I'm going to write on it now. So the first level of this, and this is just the journey of life, okay? And we'll get to why later. The first level of our personal triangle is the actual trauma. This is the victimization point. And then as you move through that, you have the victim mode, the victim mentality, the victim mindset. And then on top of that, you have, let's say, the area where you're reclaiming your power. So you start to come out of the victim mode and you get into your reclaiming mode. This could be like an empowerment space or a healing space. And then on top of that is your self-actualization, where you are fully empowered. See, it's like an entire triangle, if you can read my writing, an entire triangle, a hierarchy that's happening here. We all start here, in the nothing, in the nether, in the 3D, in the world we're born, and nothing bad has happened to us except what's happened in past lives. And then we have a trauma. While you're in the trauma, you may not realize that you're in the trauma because you're being traumatized. You are in a car accident, and when you're in that car accident, you don't have time to process, oh, I'm the victim of an accident. You just get through the accident. You're in survival mode. This is your fight, flight, or freeze moment. Once you're through that, then you come into your victim mentality. And here's the reality. When I say victim mode, I don't always mean it in a negative manner. I mean it in a negative manner if you're capable of moving beyond it and you're stuck in it, because nobody wants to be stuck. If you're stuck in one space, you're not actively healing, and you deserve better than that. You deserve better than that. But there's power in being the victim. while you're in that space. Because when you're the victim, this is when boundaries start to happen. This is when sacred rage begins to happen. This is when you begin to say to yourself, my divine feminine aspect of self was taken advantage of, was hurt, was not kept safe, and that's not how I want to be treated. This is when you start to learn about yourself. And this is such an important part of everything. You don't want to stay here forever. But there's power in realizing that you were the victim of something. It is impossible to heal from a trauma until you are capable of admitting that you have been a victim. Sacred rage is here. These people, there's anger. There's anger in being the victim. And I love that anger. When I see people out there protesting and throwing fists, I'm like, go girl, go dude, go person, because I'm realizing their sacred rage is coming out. They've been victimized in some way, and they are realizing that that's not right, that they're not going to live that way anymore, that this isn't how they're supposed to have to live. And they're out here letting people know, I've been the victim of something and I will not be victimized anymore. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Because we're both sides. We're masculine and we're feminine. And the feminine side of us is the part that becomes victimized. It's the part of us that gets hurt. It's the part of us that maybe hasn't been able to cycle appropriately because it's stuck in something in particular. When you are the victim, this is your recognition of your treatment, of how you've been treated in the past. And this is where you get to honor the disempowered parts of yourself. This is where you get to say, I recognize where I am missing my own power. I recognize where I feel not as good as or not good enough because of this thing that happened. This is your recognition of the change you want to make and where that trauma lies inside of you. The problem with staying in this space is just because you recognize something doesn't mean that you're actively working through it. Recognizing something can help you move through something if you take action to do so. But just because I recognize that a bad thing has happened to me doesn't make it not have happened. We have to actively do our healing work. And this is because with traumas, with anything that we go through in life, our higher self has set us up with these things because these things help us grow. Can you imagine incarnating into a life where nothing ever happened to you? Bad or otherwise? Yes, you might be like, oh, what a peaceful life, but you would be so bored if there was nothing to do. Like, look at people who grew up in traumatic or dramatic or chaotic households. When they finally find peace, sometimes they're like, I'm kind of bored. Like, what do we do now? Should I stir up some drama of my own? No, honey, you don't. But this is what life is. Life gives us a series of obstacles to overcome. So when we get to the trauma mode, that's where the obstacle is being placed. When we get to the victim mode, that's when we're realizing, the obstacle's here and it shouldn't be here. The realization that this obstacle should not be here because there's more for me. But if you stay in the victim mode, you never remove the obstacle. You never get the more. So if you are triggered by someone saying the words victim mode, understand that it's not because you're a victim, it's because you haven't moved out of the victim mode. It's because those triggers are still there for you. It's because you haven't yet reclaimed the power of those spaces and come into your own self-actualization. And that's the most beautiful part of having a trauma, is getting to reclaim your power. It's good to go through the grieving process. It's good to sit with your process. It's good to acknowledge that something bad happened to you. There's also something, I'm going to draw again, guys. There's also something that's more of a timeline, but it's a timeline of maturity or experiences, okay? So when you are born, your maturity level or your experience level or your consciousness level is kind of down here. And by the time you die, your experience level and maturity level is up here. Now, these traumas actually mark our maturity levels because we don't just age according to our number age, we age according to our experiences, according to the things that we've been through, right? So you can be 17 years old, and if you've been through a whole lot of things and learned how to overcome those things, then you are probably more mature than a 30-year-old who has had a fairly easy life. So that's how the maturity level goes up. But the thing is, somebody who has not gone through as much or has not healed through as much is incapable of having as much empathy for the people who have, because they don't know what that's like. They have not had those experiences yet, right? It's impossible for this person to see through the eyes of this person. It's impossible. They have to grow. They have to mature more. They have to have more experiences. They have to heal more in order to be able to see what this person is even talking about or experiencing. But this person easily can look back and say, I remember what that's like. I know where you're at right now. I can have empathy for you. And empathy is something that grows while you're in that victim mode. Yes, there's the sacred rage, the acknowledgement of what you want, but then there's the empathy that's beginning to grow for you. It's hard to have a friend or a family member or a healer work with you on your own traumas if they've never been through something similar, because there's no capacity for the kind of empathy that you need. There simply isn't. They can have cognitive empathy where they are saying to themselves, wow, that must have been really hard for you. I'm sure that how you feel is real for you. But they've never been the person but they can't be the person to say, I know exactly what that feels like, and I'm going to walk hand in hand with you. So healers, we don't want a healer to share our emotion with us, because then if you're the victim walking through something with the healer and they're sharing that emotion with you, then it kind of goes back and forth to where it's not just about you and being helped by this particular healer, but someone who's been through those things can let you have your own feelings about it while still knowing exactly what worked for them, what didn't work for them, the things that have worked for other people that they've seen, and how they can help you because they know what it feels like. If a doctor recommends me a medication they have never personally taken and that they don't have enough experience with their clients to see how their clients react to that medication, I don't want to take that medication, because they don't know what it feels like to have these side effects. They don't know what it feels like internally. So I like to try things on my own and use my intuitive abilities to decide whether this works for me or not. Everything out there has worth and value. Every person has worth and value. Every piece of information that comes out from every person has worth and value. But you are the discerning filter inside of yourself that says, while all of this has worth and value, what part of this has worth and value for me personally right now? And so you are building, in victim mode, your discernment filter as well. When you're in the victim mode, you might notice that you tend to shut down a little bit. You put up those heart walls. You're guarding against something. And it's important that when you start to step out of that victim mode and into that healing space, that recovery and reclaiming space, that you let down those walls. You can't come to a healer or go to your meditations or into your journey work or to a psychiatrist and expect them to help you while you're keeping them at arm's length the entire time, distrusting everything that they say. your filter has to be turned on while your walls come down. You have to be able to say, you know what? I trust that this person has experience and wisdom and knowledge, that they can help me. I trust that everything that comes out of their mouth has value. And now I get to decide which parts have value for me, which parts I can apply into my situation. I don't have to take this at complete face value, but I can take this seed and this seed and this seed and plant it inside of myself until I begin to grow and change how I feel, because that's what's right for me. So there's growth towards self-actualization that happens when you're in the victim mode. The victim mode is a beautiful, wonderful, fertile space to be in. You have to go through the victim mode to get anywhere else in your spiritual journey. We experience traumas in order to grow, in order to become empowered. We have to go through this phase before we reach self-actualization. Then we get into the healing and the reclaiming space. We decide as victims, I'm ready to heal this now. I've sat with this. I know what happened was wrong. I know that it shouldn't have happened to me or to anybody, and I'm tired of feeling this way. Keep in mind, be gentle with yourself. Be gentle. Be gentle. That, I can say, would be the triggering part, is hearing somebody say you're in victim mode when you're not yet ready to not be in victim mode. There's beauty in being a victim, okay? This could take a month. It could take a year. It could take 30 years of being in the victim space. Be gentle with yourself and move at the pace that feels right for you. You might need to be to yourself. You might need that self-reflection. You do what's right for you. And when you're ready to have more, when you're ready to be yourself again, but in a completely new way, when you're ready to become empowered and do something with that, then we'll move into the next phase. Don't get stuck in victim mode when you're ready to move out just because it's easier than putting forth the effort to move out. It takes effort, especially if you're somebody who's had to be in victim mode because of whatever happened for multiple years. At that point, your brain becomes wired to recognize your victim story. Your brain becomes wired to understand that you are the way you are because of this trauma. Your brain tells you over and over and over again, I am the result of my trauma. And this is why I am the way I am. And therefore, at that point, to move forward out of that would require a lot of change and a lot of effort. And our ego mind tells us that change and effort is scary. It's unsafe because we don't know who we're going to be when we start healing. The biggest thing I find with people who are starting the healing process, they're all nervous. They're all a little scared, but they're not scared of letting go of their trauma. They're scared of who they're going to be when they let go of their trauma because it's become their label. It's become their name tag. It's become what their brain says they are. I am this person. Some people even build their entire careers around being the victim of something. People who have victimized childhoods quite often grow up to be social caseworkers. They grow up to be therapists and counselors. They grow up to be healers. And if we let go of the story of how we were the victim or the bad thing that happened to us, who are we? Why are we even in the place that we're in? Why are we doing the things that we do? Why are we living the way that we live? And that's the scary part. But that is still part of our personality. We're letting go of our attachment to the story. We're not bypassing that something has happened when we decide to heal. Deciding to heal is not ignoring or pushing down into your shadow that something bad has happened to you. Deciding to heal is saying, I'm going to take this little victim right here, boop, and I'm going to set it on fire until it's completely empowered. And she's so big and so wonderful and so powerful that when she touches other people, they are miraculously healed with the love that's growing out of her heart space because she is worthy of that. That's healing. I'm not taking something and saying, oh, that never happened to me. I'm completely ignoring it. I'm forgetting about my trauma. I'm working on being relatable. I realize that when I teach, I'm teaching what's being downloaded, right? But nobody really knows, is this healer capable of healing these things and relating to these people because she's been through these things too? Yes. 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 I don't talk about it. I don't talk about my trauma, not because I'm ignoring it, but because I don't even consider it my trauma anymore. Because I've worked through it, I've integrated it, I've been empowered through it. Not because I've pushed it aside or cut it off away from me. It's because I've taken those pieces of the little girl and that teenage girl, and I've loved her fiercely and unconditionally and given her everything I wished other people had been capable of giving her. I've given her attention. I've given her love. I've pushed her to do the things that were hard for her to do because they were for her greater good. I balance her. I give her self-control. I am the one to do that for her because I am capable of recognizing how my past wounds create an urge in me to hurt myself the way other people have hurt me. And instead, I'm urging myself to love myself the way I wish other people had loved me. And that creates self-actualization once you're through the healing process. I'm not going to get on a call with you and talk about the things that I've been through when I'm here holding space for you. So you're never going to hear about it if we're in a session together. I don't get on here and talk about it because I'm here to give you a word. I'm here to give you a message. I'm here to give you something you can walk away and chew on. But we're being relatable. We're being relatable. So most of the people who come to me, I will say, have been through sexual abuse or narcissistic relationships, controlling relationships. They have been through relationship issues within their families, maybe being raised by a family member who had a mental imbalance. A lot of my people who come to me have been through addictions or grew up with family members who have been through addiction. They've been through death, negative entities and attachments. This is a lot of my clientele. This is a lot of you guys. And I've been through all of that. I personally have been through all of that. Not where my 6th cousin 12 times removed has been through that and I kind of watched the process. I've been through that. I've been through sexual abuse. I've been through abusive relationships. I have worked through PTSD. I have had family members die at a young age and grown up without parents. I have not only been in relationships with addicts, but been an addict. I am all of the things that I'm helping you with. And that is why you're drawn to me. You're not drawn to me because I'm this young, perky, cute little thing who's just like, oh my God, let me teach you about spirituality. It's because I've been through it. And there's a thickness and an authenticity that you feel and that you're able to connect with. That's what draws you here. That's the relatability, whether or not I say it with my words. But I just said it with my words. So if you really need that relatability, just flag this video and keep it forever because I probably won't mention it again. Because it's not part of my story anymore as a trauma. Those things that happened didn't traumatize me. They did at the time. They did when I was in victim mode. They did when I was in healing mode. But now that I'm in self-actualization mode, I realize they weren't traumas. They were blessings. They were molding me to be this person for you. They were molding me to be this person for the world, to be this person who has the capacity to hold space for the hard things, because that's what humans go through. Humans go through really big, really hard things. And I need to be mature enough and have enough experience to hold that for people. Without those experiences, I would not be a healer. I would not be a teacher. I would not be capable of holding this space for you guys. So while those traumas did push me into a certain line of work, it was the healing and the self-actualization that made me realize this is just who I am. And I can do this work or not do this work, and I'll be fine. But I am here to serve you. I am here to serve you. I am here to serve you. And this is how I'm expressing that, by offering this, by offering the teachings, by offering my body as a channel for spirit, by offering love and healing energies. This is how I'm choosing to express my trauma, my blessings. I'm expressing my growth, my experience, my self-actualization in this way. And I still, from time to time, have to retrain my mind, because the mind is the hardest part to train. You can bring your body out of trauma, especially through mindfulness and having a safe space for periods of time and doing energy work. You can bring your body out of a trauma. It's the mind that gets stuck in the trauma over and over and over again, reliving it over and over and over and over again. And so I still, from time to time, have to remind myself, oh yeah, I'm safe. Yeah, I'm safe. Everything here is good. I still, from time to time, have to remind myself, I'm a good person. I deserve good things. I deserve people to treat me appropriately and not talk down to me. I deserve that. I deserve my own time. I deserve my own space. I have to remind myself of that. And your mind is so incredibly powerful. It's so powerful. Even without healing work and energy work and going to healers and stuff like that, you are still capable of bringing yourself out of victim mode and into healing mode through the power of your mind, through the power of awareness and awareness meditations. You know, when you meditate, you're like, oh, well, I can't get the thoughts out, I can't clear my mind. And it's because you're not supposed to clear your mind. You're supposed to observe your thoughts and then detach from them. You're supposed to realize that your thoughts are not who you are, that your thoughts do not control you, that your thoughts might not even be true. And who cares whether or not they're true? That's the point of meditation, so that I can see what stories my mind keeps telling me about myself. Is my mind telling me that my husband's cheating on me? Is my mind telling me that my body isn't strong enough or healthy enough? Is my mind telling me that I'm hungry when I just ate? Is my mind telling me that this person is mad at me or this person thinks that I've done something wrong? What is your mind telling you when you meditate? Because these are the things that you have to learn how to control or simply detach from and let go more, rather just let them go, let them flush through without putting your energy onto them, because that's what we do. We have a thought that we attach by putting our energy into the thought, and then that thought creates an emotion, and then that emotion changes how our energy is rolling and moving, and then that turns into some sort of action that changes the trajectory of our lives over a simple thought. A simple thought. We get to decide when we're stepping out of victim mode and into healing mode, what thoughts we're going to place value on. We get to decide, while every thought has a place, it has worth, and has value, which thoughts have value for me now? Which ones make me a better person? Which one help me live with integrity? Which ones make me feel better about myself and my situation? Which thoughts make me more empowered? If any of those thoughts do not empower me or make my life better in any capacity, I need to let them go. Let them flow through. People don't let them flow through and attach to those thoughts when they think that those thoughts are going to keep them safe. This person's doing this to me, this person's mad at me, this person's cheating on me. I'm having that thought, and I'm going to attach to that thought because even if I don't know it's true, there's a possibility it's true, and I don't want to be the person hurt. I don't want to be a victim again. If you're attaching to those thoughts, newsflash, you're already still the victim. Sorry. It's only when you can detach from those thoughts and realize they're not true, they're not making your life better, and even if they are true, you don't know that they're true right now, so it's actually having no effect on your body unless you make it. You're in control of that. So when we're in healing mode and we decide to step into that healing mode, this is your reclaiming of your power. This is you recognizing what you deserve, your honor, your respect. You can do this through your mindfulness exercises, through meditation. You can do this through therapy, healing work, support groups, whatever that looks like for you. This is where you're going through your drama. Healing is dramatic, guys. Healing's not super easy. It's drama. It's not trauma. It's drama. Healing is going through your drama. Because when you decide to heal, that's when you have to say, I'm not a victim anymore. I can't attach to that story of being the victim because I'm coming out of that victim phase. I have to look my trauma dead on and work through it. I have to integrate it. I have to figure out how I can love those parts of me that were hurt. I have to do that. For me, you have to train your mind to know, even if this person did leave you, even if this job did fire you, even if this happened or all the things that your brain keeps telling you, even if those things did happen, you have to be able to come to the space where you say, I still love me. I'm still safe in me. I'm still loved in me. I am still in touch with the universe, still in touch with the earth. I'm still in touch with Source. And I know that Source still loves me. I know that I'm still one with love. And I am stable in that. That is true healing. That is when you're able to come into your self-actualization. The drama of healing is because if you can't be the victim, you're going to have to be forced to see where for all of the amount of times you were sitting in the victim mode, you were creating drama everywhere you went because that meant that if you were the victim, someone else had to be the bad guy and someone else had to be the person to step in and rescue you. Or did they not rescue you? It's created a very dual mindset that you've been looking through the world at for the entire time you were in that victim phase. Everything is enemy or friend, trust or no trust. Everything. Is this the person to hurt me or the person to save me? Baby, that's you. That's you. But you don't realize that until you're forced to go through, not forced to go through, but when you go through the healing phase and you're forced to look at that aspect of yourself. And then this brings you up out of that dual space and into the space of the observer. Yes, I can see what happened. Yes, I understand it. I love this person anyways. I love myself. I love that younger version of me. All will be well because now I'm reclaiming my power. And reclaiming your power comes a lot through how you change your thoughts, how you change your mind. If you keep getting that thought, this person's mad at me, this person hates me, but you've learned to detach from that because that's your abandonment wound speaking, that's your rejection wound speaking, that's your lack of safety or low self-worth wound speaking, you can choose, okay, That has value when I'm trying to protect myself, but that doesn't actually keep me safe and it doesn't make me feel good. It gives me anxiety and fear and panic. So instead, I'm going to let that flow through, and instead, I'm going to think something different to myself. What am I going to think that makes me feel accepted, connected, loved, and like I have value and worth? And tell yourself that instead. I am the sun. I shine on everybody. I am warm. I am a flame. I am a blanket. I am a hug. Whatever makes you feel like how you want to feel is what you should train your brain to tell you about yourself. I don't want my brain to tell me that I'm ugly and no one likes me and that my words have no meaning. I want my brain to tell me, girl, you rock. Girl, you are a badass. Girl, you can do anything you want to. I'm going to give you my keys to success in just key. I'm going to give you my key to success in just a few minutes, okay? So, you've been born. You've gone through your trauma. You've gone through your victim mode. You've realized that you're better than that you're worth more than that you want change in your life. And now you've come into your healing mode, your drama. You've healed through everything. You're changing your mindsets. You're empowering yourself. You're reclaiming your story. You're not continuing to give your past away to the abusers or to the bad guys. You are now saying, this is my story. I went through this thing and now I am more empowered. Now I'm more powerful. Now I know how to control my mind and I know how to control my energy and my emotions. Now I know the kind of person I want to be, and I know the capacity I have to hold space for people like you. Now you're coming into your self-actualization, because this is where I, which is my masculine self, realize that I did not protect me, my feminine self. Oh, okay. Look, there's a natural progression that happens through healing sessions, okay? When people first start, it's this person did this was the result of that, this is how I felt. And that's beautiful, babe. That's beautiful. You have to reach that space first. It has to be that way, because you have to realize that something happened that wasn't right. You have to realize that this is something you don't want other people to have to go through. You have to realize that. You have to realize that something happened to you that wasn't normal, so that you know where to place your boundaries moving forward and how to be a better person moving forward. You have to be that victim. But then you get to realize, you know what? Now that I've healed through my anger or my sadness or my shame about this thing and this person, now I realize I'm kind of mad at myself. Why didn't I say something? Why didn't I do something different? Why wasn't I able to protect myself? And not all of this is rational. So if you're feeling triggered about that part, you're probably not there yet, and that's okay. But I've seen this natural progression and I've been through it. You get to a place of, even if it's not logical, even if there was nothing you could have done, you realize that because you are the universe, that because you are source energy, that because you share the same source energy with every single person around you, that when someone does something to you, once you get to a certain point in your healing, you realize that it's like you're fighting yourself. There's no one else to fight anymore. It's you against you. It's, why didn't my masculine energy protect my beautiful, deserving feminine energy? Why? We're mad at ourselves. And when we can heal through that and bring our two sides together, not just become the observer of us and other people, but bring our two sides together, we are rocking in our full power. Full power. This is where I am no longer differentiating between my masculine and my feminine energy. And realistically, you guys sitting there looking at me probably think I have a very feminine energy. I hear that a lot, where people think I have a very feminine energy until you work with me. Until like we do a project or a collaboration together, or like physically work a job together, and then you're like, dang, she's a daddy. Yeah, I'm boss bitch, because I have a very masculine energy and I know exactly what needs to be done, when it needs to be done, and I'm very flowing, I'm very loving, I'm very boop, you're wonderful, you're beautiful, while you're doing that thing that needs to be done. Just keep doing it, please, and have it done at a certain time. But it's the flow, the merging, the realization, oh, I'm whole inside of myself. I don't need anybody to save me. I don't need anybody to rescue me. I don't need anybody to be my partner. I don't need a sexual partner, because I am the yin yang inside of myself. I do that for me. I don't need anything outside of me. And that is a beautiful space to be in, because once you're there, when you do have other people in your space, it's because you love them and want them there, not because you need them there. Not because you're codependent and need other people there for your validation and for your safety. That's emotional manipulation, guys. Just thought you should know, throwing it in there. I have a partner, I'm in this relationship, I'm in this because I have a validation wound, because I have an abandonment wound, because I have a rejection wound. And of course, we're not conscious that this is why we're getting into relationships when we're still in the victim space. It's only later we realize that we're outgrowing people, that our friendships are thinning out as we heal. And it's because those friendships were only there to begin with because of a wounded space we were in, and we needed them to validate some part of us. So we're letting everything go. We're realizing through self-actualization where we don't trust ourselves, where we don't trust because of the decisions we've made in the past, or maybe there's a belief system about not being able to trust yourself. But this is where you learn to trust yourself, to know what you're capable of. I am capable of all things, anything. I can do anything if I set my mind to it and I feel compelled to do it. You know, like the reality is, I'm not going to sit here and like paint an entire picture just because someone tells me to do it. But if I feel compelled and inspired to paint a picture, I will. And it's going to be gorgeous. And it's going to be beautiful. And it'll probably have like light codes and all kinds of stuff in it. Because this is what you're capable of when you're in your full power. When in your full power, your inspiration drives you. And you're capable of making anything you're inspired to create. You have now the ability to manifest and alchemize anything. Anything. As long as I'm in my self-actualization and empowerment space. I have gone from a space of seeing everybody as a mirror of myself. I've gone from a space of projecting my wounds onto other people and being triggered by them. If you're being triggered by anything at all ever, you're projecting. Just saying. Because you actually do not know what's in the other person's brain, their experiences, what they've been through, or who they actually are. It's impossible to know who everyone is. So if you are triggered at all by anything ever, you're projecting your wound, your insecurity, your thoughts that may not be true onto the other person. And so we can use the people around us as mirrors. So when they say something that triggers us, we can say, okay, where am I feeling insecure, left out, or like something's not right? And use that to heal yourself. But then once you get through the healing phase and you're in the self-actualization phase, when people say things that trigger you, remember, you have this memory. Just because you're up here doesn't mean you never get triggered again. You still have feelings, honey. The trigger here, though, is reminding you of something that happened down here. And so when you get triggered, you get to look and say, there it is. Okay, that trigger is because of this one thing that I went through, and I have a boundary now, because I know how I want to be treated, against allowing that sort of behavior towards myself. So I'm going to lovingly and kindly and with boundaries say, you don't get to talk to me like that. You're not allowed in my space. You get to lovingly say those things and create that boundary from a self-actualization point rather than from a wounded or need for safety point. There is a difference. There is a difference because at this point, you already know you're safe. You're always safe. Your spirit can't die. You're always safe. But now you're speaking from a space of power. And when you say and create a boundary when you're in your self-actualization, people listen because what you're speaking to them is not, I'm hurt and what you're saying is hurting me. What you're saying to them is, I'm worth way more than that. And you will have no power in my presence coming that way. None. You saw the difference? You saw the difference, right? Okay. Now, creating boundaries when you're in the victim space, you should. Remember, that's where that starts. That's where creating boundaries starts. This hurts me. You can't do this to me anymore. This hurts me. But as long as you're in the victim space, even though you're creating those boundaries that will move with you through the future into your self-actualization phase, you don't have the power behind it to enforce that boundary, usually, because you're still a victim. You have to go through the healing phase to put power behind your boundaries so that eventually what people read when they get to you is not, kick me, I'm a dead squirrel, please kick me. I don't know why that came out. But there's a subconscious name tag that reads here. And when we're already in victim mode or already traumatized, this is why there's repeat traumas to people. Because when we're already victim or traumatized, other people want to come do that same trauma over and over and over and over again until we realize, I've got to keep moving forward. I've got to get out of this cycle. And so I come through my healing and I come into my actualization. And now my name tag doesn't say, kick me, please. It says, F you, F off. I'm good here by myself. That's what it says, okay? So you learn how to trust yourself. You recognize what you can handle. You recognize your power. And here is my key to success. I am 1000% ringy-dingy delusional. Delusion is the key to success. Enjoy today's Eisteddfod, brought to you today by our musical guest, Nevada Smith. Nevada is a beautiful soul who brings change and healing through her vibrations, and her gift of music is profound. She plays guitar, piano, singing bowls, but her voice, listen to the light codes in this voice. And since this is a two-part video, the first part of this video, we're going to introduce you to an original song by Nevada called Gold. It's an acoustic version of one she normally does on the piano, but just be open to expression with her, to celebrating her, to understanding that there's a flow and a vibe and she's feeling the universe as she brings this to you. The next video has a song by her that is actually done with light language with a Terra mantra chant at the end. And that one is healing and impactful, and you have to be open to be able to receive that one. So with this first one, let's just celebrate Nevada and tell her, comment here, all of her contact information is in the description, but make sure you drop her a comment thanking her for bringing you this Eisteddfod today, to helping you celebrate life and your ability to alchemize and self-actualize and empower and become. Happy Sunday.
Time and a place for everything. There's a moon and a face for new beginnings. Can you replicate the feeling of where you are? Can you tell me where where did it all start? Paint me a story, tell me how easy from top to the bottom and back around. Build me a picture, then let's break it down. Accept the situation to break your illusion, and here's the conclusion. You already know what you know. You can dig yourself out of this hole. Are you ready to reap what you sow? Can you dance with your ghost? Ooh, ha, 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 ha. Ooh, ha, 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 ha. Ooh, ha, ha, ha. Ooh, ha, ha, ha. Manifest, stay the way you wanna be. Keep a close eye on your state of mind. In order to receive, you must begin to try. In order to crave, you must go inside. In order to believe, you must leave behind your reason to need peace from what lies outside. Renew and remind your own inner light. It all burns from within, and it's time to begin. You already know what you know. You can dig yourself out of this hole. Are you ready to reap what you sow? Can you dance with your ghost? Ooh, ha, 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 ha. Ooh, ha, 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 ha. Ooh, ha, ha, ha. Ooh, ha, ha, ha. You already know what you know. You can dig yourself out of this hole. Are you ready to reap what you sow? Can you dance with your ghost? Ooh, you are the gold. It is not without, but within your soul. You are the gold. It is not without, but within your soul. You